The alarm bells rang through the massive space station called Nexus Prime. The sound echoed in every corridor and room, making everyone stop what they were doing. This was not a drill. Something big was happening. Thexara swam quickly through the water-filled tubes that connected her section of the station to the main council chamber. Her blue skin glowed with worry as she moved her tentacles to swim faster. As a Valdari representative, she had seen many emergencies before, but this felt different. The council chamber was already full when she arrived. The Nethek representatives stood like living crystals, their bodies catching and reflecting the lights in rainbow patterns. Their leader, Velthron, looked more serious than usual. His crystal form was dark purple, which meant he was deeply concerned. The Yorth delegates floated in their special gas containers. These beings looked like clouds of colored smoke, but they were some of the smartest creatures in the galaxy. Their containers allowed them to speak and interact with the other species safely. "What is the emergency?" Thexara asked as she took her place at the water-filled section of the council table. Velthron stepped forward, his crystal body making soft ringing sounds as he moved. "Our long-range sensors have detected something unusual. A vessel is approaching from the galactic rim." "Just one ship?" Thexara laughed, bubbles rising from her mouth. "Why are we having an emergency meeting for one ship?" "Because," said Kolomoth, the lead Yorth delegate, his cloudy form shifting colors from blue to red, "this ship is unlike anything in our databases. It comes from a region we thought was empty space." The main screen in the chamber lit up, showing a star map of their galaxy. A small red dot moved slowly from the outer edge toward the center, where most of the civilized worlds were located. "The galactic rim has been surveyed many times," Thexara said. "There are no habitable planets there, no intelligent life, just empty space and dead rocks." "That is what we thought," Velthron replied. His crystal form grew brighter as he became more excited. "But this vessel is not a piece of space debris. It is moving with purpose. Someone is controlling it." The image on the screen changed to show a closer view of the mysterious ship. It was long and narrow, about 800 meters from front to back. Its hull looked strange compared to the smooth, organic shapes of Valdari ships or the geometric perfection of Nethek vessels. This ship looked rough, like it was built by hand rather than grown or formed by advanced technology. "The design is primitive," Thexara observed. "Look at those straight lines and flat surfaces. No one has built ships like that for thousands of years." "Primitive, yes," agreed Kolmoth, his gaseous form swirling faster with anxiety. "But the energy readings are confusing our sensors. The ship should be easy to scan, but our equipment cannot get clear readings from inside it." Velthron activated another display. Numbers and charts filled the air above the council table. "The vessel's energy signature is unlike anything we have seen. It does not match Valdari biotechnology, Nethek crystal systems, or Yorth plasma drives. Yet it is moving faster than it should be able to, given its apparent construction." "Have you tried to communicate with it?" Thexara asked. "Of course," Kolmoth replied. "We have sent greetings on all standard frequencies, no response. We tried mathematical sequences, universal constants, even basic pictographs. Nothing." The three species had shared the galaxy for thousands of years. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they cooperated, but they always followed certain rules. One of the most important rules was that new contacts were handled carefully and peacefully. First contact protocols existed for a reason. "How long until it reaches our space?" Thexara wanted to know. "At its current speed, it will cross into the outer colonies in 6 days," Velthron answered. "If it maintains course, it will reach the core systems in 20 days. The council chamber fell silent. Each representative was thinking about what this meant. An unknown ship, possibly containing unknown aliens, was heading straight for the heart of galactic civilization. They had no idea who was on board or what they wanted. "We need to intercept it," Thexara said finally. "Send a fleet to stop it, before it gets too close." "Stop it how?" Kolmoth asked. "We do not know if it is hostile. What if it is just a peaceful exploration vessel?" What if attacking it would be considered an act of war? War against who? Velthron's crystal form flickered, with different colors as he considered the problem. We do not even know what species sent it. How can we negotiate with people we have never met? The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to destroy the ship before it could become a threat. Others wanted to welcome it as new friends. Most were simply confused and worried. As they argued, the mysterious vessel continued its steady approach. Long-range sensors tracked its movement, but learned nothing new about its occupants or intentions. The ship ignored all attempts at communication and seemed immune to their best scanning technology. There is something else, Velthron said during a brief pause in the discussion. The ship's trajectory is very precise. It is not wandering randomly through space. Whoever is controlling it knows exactly where they are going. Going where? Thexara asked. Velthron brought up the navigation display again. The red dot representing the unknown ship was following a direct path toward Nexus Prime itself, not toward any of the homeworlds of the three species, not toward any major colony or military base. It was coming straight for the diplomatic heart of galactic civilization. They know about us, Colmoth whispered, his gaseous form turning a worried shade of gray. Somehow these unknown aliens know about our government, our meeting place, our importance. But how is that possible? Thexara demanded. The galactic rim is empty. We have explored it thoroughly. There are no advanced civilizations out there. Perhaps, Velthron said slowly, our exploration was not as thorough as we thought. The meeting continued deep into the station's night cycle, but no one could agree on what to do. Send warships to intercept? Prepare for peaceful contact, evacuate the station? Every option seemed dangerous. Finally, they decided to wait and watch. More sensors were focused on the approaching vessel. The best scientists and military experts from all three species began studying every piece of data they could gather. But the ship revealed nothing more about itself. It simply continued its steady, purposeful journey toward the center of galactic civilization, carrying secrets that would soon change everything the three species thought they knew about their galaxy and their place in it. The unknown vessel crossed into civilized space exactly when the computers predicted it would. Automatic systems throughout the galaxy's outer colonies activated the moment the strange ship entered their territory. Warning beacons began broadcasting, on every frequency, sending the same message in the languages of all three galactic species. The message was simple and had been used for thousands of years. Unknown vessel, you have entered civilized space. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. We offer peaceful greeting and assistance if needed. The response was the same as before. Complete silence. On the monitoring station called Outpost 7, a young Valdari operator named Blexini watched her screens with growing nervousness. The strange ship was passing directly through her sector, close enough that she could see it with the station's most powerful telescopes. It is bigger than the report said, she whispered to herself, her tentacles moving anxiously in the water around her control station. Through the viewing window, she could see the vessel with her own eyes. It looked even stranger up close. The hull was made of metal that looked dull and gray, nothing like the living materials that Valdari ships used or the beautiful crystals of Nethek vessels. Lights dotted the surface in straight rows, and strange structures stuck out at odd angles. It looked like someone had built it by hand, piece by piece, without any concern for beauty or elegance. Outpost 7 to unknown vessel, Blexini broadcast, following her training. This is Operator Blexini of the Valdari Colonial Service. Please respond to our greeting signals. We want to help you. For a moment, nothing happened. The ship continued on its path, ignoring her completely. Then something changed on her communication board. A light began blinking that she had never seen before. What? She said, checking her equipment. The ship was sending a signal, but not on any frequency that her systems recognized. The computers tried to analyze it but kept displaying error messages. Blexini activated the emergency communication line to Nexus Prime. This is Outpost 7. The unknown vessel is transmitting something, but our systems cannot decode it. Within minutes, the best communication experts from all three species were working on the problem. They had systems that could translate almost any possible language, mathematical sequences that could establish common understanding with any intelligent species, and cultural databases that covered thousands of different ways that aliens might try to communicate. None of it worked. The signal from the unknown ship was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It seemed to contain multiple different communication methods all mixed together. Parts of it looked like mathematical equations, other parts seemed to be pictures, and some sections appeared to be in completely unknown languages. Dr. Yel Andra, the galaxy's leading expert on alien languages, worked for hours trying to understand just one small part of the transmission. She was a Nethek, and her crystal brain could process information faster than most organic minds, but even she was confused. There are at least 47 different language structures in this transmission, she reported to the council. Some of them use symbols I have never seen. Others use sounds that none of our species can make. It is as if whoever sent this message wants to make sure that someone, somewhere, will be able to understand at least part of it. While the experts worked on the message, the unknown ship continued its journey. It passed 3 more monitoring stations, 2 research outposts, and a small mining colony. Each time it ignored all attempts at communication except to send the same complex, undecipherable transmission. The people living at these remote locations watched the ship pass with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Some thought it was beautiful, in its strange, angular way. Others worried that it might be dangerous. All of them wondered who was inside and what they wanted. On the 4th day after entering civilized space, something changed. The ship's transmission suddenly became much stronger and more focused. Dr. Yelandra, who had barely slept since the crisis began, noticed the change immediately. The signal strength has increased by 300%, she announced to her team. And look at this, the structure is becoming more organized. For the first time, parts of the alien message began to make sense. Mathematical constants that all 3 galactic species would recognize, physical laws that applied everywhere in the universe, simple concepts like numbers and basic geometry. Then came the breakthrough. Hidden within all the complex, undecipherable parts of the transmission, the experts found a simple message in perfect Valdari mathematical notation. "We are learning your languages. Please be patient." The council chamber on Nexus Prime erupted in excited discussion when they heard this news. The unknown aliens were not ignoring their attempts at communication. They were studying them, learning from them, trying to figure out how to talk to them properly. "They are linguists," Kolmuth observed, his gaseous form swirling with amazement. "They are analyzing our languages in real time, learning how to communicate with us." But how is that possible? Thexara wondered. Even our best computers need months to fully analyze a new language. They are doing it in days. Perhaps, Velthron suggested. They have had more practice than we think. 2 days later, the answer came. The unknown ship's transmission changed again, and this time the message was clear and understandable. "This is Captain Dohyun of the Earth vessel Indomitable. We come seeking dialogue with your leadership regarding territorial disputes affecting human space." The words hit the council like a physical blow. Earth? Humans? These terms appeared in none of their databases. No known species called themselves humans. No planet called Earth existed in any of their star charts. Dr. Yelandra worked frantically to analyze this new information. The name Dohyun followed patterns that were completely foreign to galactic civilization. The word human seemed to be what these aliens called themselves, and Earth was apparently their homeworld. "Where is Earth?" Thexara demanded. The stellar cartography computers searched through millions of planetary designations. They found nothing. If Earth existed, it was not in any of their records. "Territorial disputes affecting human space?" Velthron repeated, the words slowly. "What human space? We have detailed maps of every inhabited system in the galaxy. There is no human space." But even as he spoke, the truth was becoming clear. The unknown ship came from the galactic rim, A region they had assumed was empty. If these humans lived out there, in the cold darkness between the spiral arms, then their territory would be completely unknown to galactic civilization. Send a response, Kolmoth suggested. Tell them we welcome peaceful contact. The message was sent on all frequencies, translated into every known galactic language. The human ship received it immediately, but the response was not what anyone expected. Thank you for your welcome. Captain Do-hyun requests permission to approach Nexus, prime station for formal diplomatic discussions. We have studied your protocols and believe we understand the proper procedures. Studied their protocols? The three species looked at each other in amazement. How could aliens from the Galactic Rim know anything about their diplomatic procedures? How long had these humans been watching them? The Council had no choice but to agree. Whatever these humans were, wherever they came from, they clearly wanted to talk. And after thousands of years of dealing with the same three species, the galaxy was about to meet its fourth intelligent civilization. The Indomitable changed course slightly, heading directly for Nexus Prime. As it approached, more details became visible. The ship was indeed primitive by galactic standards, but it moved with a confidence that suggested its crew knew exactly what they were doing. First contact was about to become something no one had expected. The human ship Indomitable was now close enough for detailed scanning, and what the sensors revealed made no sense to anyone who saw the results. Dr. Pelvasht, the galaxy's leading expert on spaceship engineering, stared at his readings in complete confusion. He was a Nethek, and his crystal mind could analyze complex technical systems faster than any organic brain, but the human vessel defied everything he thought he knew about space travel. The hull is made of iron and titanium, he reported to the Council, his crystalline form flickering with disbelief. Simple metal alloys, no bio-neural networks, no living materials, no crystal matrix technology, just dead metal shaped into plates and welded together. Thexara's tentacles moved in patterns that showed her confusion. That is impossible. No ship made of simple metal could survive in deep space for more than a few years. The radiation would weaken it, meteor impacts would damage it, and the stress of faster-than-light travel would tear it apart. Yet here it is, Velthron observed, apparently undamaged after traveling from the Galactic Rim. The scans continued, revealing more impossible details. The human ship's engines worked by splitting atoms and using the energy to push hot gas out the back. This was a method so ancient that most galactic species had only read about it in historical texts. No one had used such primitive technology for thousands of years. Nuclear fusion propulsion, Dr. Pelvasht announced, his voice filled with amazement. They are using controlled explosions to move their ship. The energy output should be barely enough to lift the vessel out of a planet's gravity well, yet somehow they achieved interstellar flight with it. But the strangest thing was how the ship moved. When 3 Valdari patrol vessels approached to offer escort services, the human ship did something that should have been impossible. Commander Sojin sat in the tactical control center of the Indomitable, watching the approaching alien ships on her screens. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes that missed nothing. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panels as she analyzed the situation. Captain Do-hyun, she reported over the ship's communication system. 3 alien vessels are approaching. They appear to be military craft, but they are broadcasting peaceful intentions. What are your recommendations, Commander? Do-hyun's voice came back immediately. Sojin smiled slightly as she calculated the vectors and speeds of the approaching ships. They want to escort us, sir. Standard procedure for unknown vessels, but I think we should politely decline and show them what human engineering can do. Approved. Show them we are not helpless, but do not threaten them. What happened next amazed every alien who witnessed it. The Indomitable, which should have been slow and clumsy given its primitive construction, suddenly moved like a dancer. The ship twisted in space, performing a complex spiral that took it around all 3 Valdari vessels in less than 30 seconds. The human vessel's weapon systems locked onto each alien ship simultaneously, but instead of firing, Captain Do-hyun transmitted a polite message. Thank you for the escort offer. We respectfully request that you maintain a safe distance while we proceed to Nexus Prime. We do not wish to cause any incidents due to misunderstandings about our capabilities. The Valdari pilots were experienced warriors who had flown in battles against both Nethek and Yorth forces. They thought they had seen every possible combat maneuver. But the human ship moved in ways that violated everything they knew about physics and space combat. How did they do that? Whispered Klexandra, the lead Valdari pilot. Their ship should be too massive to perform those maneuvers. The gravitational forces would crush any crew inside. Her instruments showed that the Indomitable had pulled acceleration forces that would turn most aliens into liquid. Yet somehow, the humans inside had not only survived, but had remained functional enough to target all three of her ships with perfect precision. On Nexus Prime, the tactical analysis teams were asking the same questions. Dr. Pelvasht brought up holographic displays showing the human ship's performance. According to our calculations, he explained to the council, the crew of that vessel should have experienced forces equivalent to being crushed by a mountain. No known species can survive that kind of acceleration. Perhaps humans are different from us, Kolmuth suggested, his gaseous form shifting to a thoughtful blue color. Perhaps they evolved on a world with higher gravity, making them more resistant to such forces. But even that explanation did not account for everything they observed. As the Indomitable continued toward Nexus Prime, it began broadcasting on scientific frequencies. The transmission came from Dr. Yunji, the ship's chief science officer. Dr. Yunji was a tall woman with long black hair and intelligent eyes behind thick glasses. She had spent her entire career studying the physics of space travel, and she was excited to share human discoveries with the galactic community. Her transmissions contained mathematical proofs and physical constants that matched galactic knowledge perfectly. The laws of physics were the same everywhere in the universe, but the applications of those laws were completely different. Look at their approach to faster-than-light travel, Dr. Yelandra reported after analyzing Dr. Yunji's data. They use the same principles we do, but their method is completely different. Instead of growing bioneural networks or crystallizing spacetime, they built machines that punch holes in reality and jump through them. That should not work, Dr. Pelvasht protested. The energy requirements would be enormous. The stress on the ship's structure would destroy any vessel made of simple metals. Yet it obviously does work, Velthron pointed out. The evidence is right in front of us. More transmissions from Dr. Yunji revealed other human innovations. They had developed artificial gravity using spinning sections of their ship. They recycled air and water using biological systems similar to what existed on their homeworld. They generated power by splitting atoms and managed the radiation using thick metal shields. Every solution was different from what the three galactic species would have chosen, yet every solution worked perfectly. They think differently than we do, Thexara observed. When we encounter a problem, we look for elegant solutions using advanced technology. When they encounter a problem, they find ways to make simple tools do complex jobs. As the Indomitable drew closer to Nexus Prime, more details became visible. The ship's hull was covered with sensors and communication equipment that looked crude, but apparently worked better than anything in the galactic database. Small craft docked to the main hull suggested that humans used modular construction, building their vessels by connecting smaller pieces together. The most amazing discovery came when Dr. Yunji transmitted detailed scans of the space around Nexus Prime. The human sensors had detected and cataloged every piece of debris, every small asteroid, and every artificial structure in the area. Their scanning technology was primitive, by galactic standards, but it was incredibly thorough and accurate. They see everything, whispered Dr. Pelvasht. Their sensors miss nothing. Captain Dohyun's next transmission contained a formal request for permission to dock at Nexus Prime. The message was perfectly polite and followed diplomatic protocols that no human should have known. But the most shocking part was not the request itself. It was the fact that Captain Do-hyun had included detailed structural specifications for the docking port his ship would need, along with atmospheric requirements for his crew and suggestions for how to modify Nexus Prime systems to accommodate human physiology. The humans had not only studied galactic languages and protocols, They had studied galactic technology, biology, and engineering. They knew more about the three species than the three species knew about them. The Council faced a choice: allow these mysterious humans to dock at the heart of galactic civilization, or refuse and risk offending a species whose capabilities they clearly did not understand. The decision was unanimous. The humans would be welcomed to Nexus Prime, but as the Indomitable approached the massive station, everyone wondered the same thing. If humans could achieve so much with such simple technology, what would happen when they gained access to the advanced science of galactic civilization? The Indomitable docked with Nexus Prime without any problems, despite being the first human vessel to ever attempt such a maneuver. The docking itself was a marvel to watch. The human ship's systems connected perfectly with the station's infrastructure, as if Captain Do-hyun's crew had been practicing the procedure for years. Inside the station, preparations for first contact were frantic. The three species had protocols for meeting new aliens, but those protocols assumed the new species would be primitive and confused. The humans were clearly neither. Captain Do-hyun emerged from his ship wearing a simple dark blue uniform with silver markings that indicated his rank. He was a man of average height with short black hair and steady eyes that seemed to notice everything around him. Behind him came 4 other crew members, each walking with the same confident posture. Lieutenant Tae-min, the ship's intelligence officer, was a young man with sharp features and quick movements. His eyes constantly scanned the alien environment, taking in details and making mental notes. Dr. Yoonji, the science officer, looked around with obvious excitement, her scientific curiosity overcoming any nervousness about meeting alien species for the first time. Engineer Won-sik was older than the others, with calloused hands that showed years of working with machinery. He examined the station's construction with professional interest, occasionally nodding in approval at particularly clever engineering solutions. Commander Hae-jin, the diplomatic officer, was a tall woman with an elegant bearing who seemed completely at ease despite being surrounded by 3 different types of aliens. She carried a small device that appeared to be recording everything for later analysis. The formal meeting took place in the main council chamber, which had been hastily modified to accommodate human physiology. The humans needed an oxygen-nitrogen, atmosphere and standard gravity, requirements that the station's engineers had managed to provide with impressive speed. Texara, Velthran, and Kolmoth took their positions at the council table, representing their respective species. They had agreed that Texara would speak first, since the Valdari were generally considered the most diplomatic of the 3 species. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," Texara said, her voice carrying clearly through the water-filled communication system. "We are honored to meet the first representatives of the human species." Captain Do-hyun bowed slightly, a gesture that somehow managed to show respect without appearing subservient. "The honor is ours, Representative Texara. Humanity is grateful for this opportunity to meet with galactic civilization." The casual way he used her name and title sent ripples of surprise through the chamber. The humans had somehow learned not only the languages of the 3 species, but their customs and social structures as well. "If I may ask," Velthran said, his crystal form glowing with curiosity, "how did you learn so much about our civilization? The galactic rim is very far from our inhabited worlds." Captain Do-hyun smiled, and Lieutenant Tae-min stepped forward with his recording device. "We discovered your civilization 3 years ago," Tae-min began, his voice calm and professional. "Our deep space monitoring stations detected the energy signatures of increased military activity along the borders between your 3 territories." He activated a holographic display that appeared in the center of the chamber. The 3 species recognized it immediately. It was a detailed map of their military positions, trade routes, and political boundaries. "Instead of making immediate contact," Tae-min continued, "we decided to study your civilization first. We wanted to understand your languages, your customs, and your political situation before introducing ourselves." Kolmoth's gaseous form swirled with amazement. "You have been watching us for 3 years, without us knowing?" "Watching and learning," Commander Hae-jin confirmed. "We intercepted your communications, studied your cultural exchanges, and analyzed your technological signatures. We wanted to ensure that first contact would be handled properly. The display changed to show linguistic analysis charts, cultural interaction patterns, and detailed assessments of each species' technological capabilities. The depth of human knowledge was staggering. "This is impossible," Texara protested. "Our security systems are designed to detect any surveillance. How could you observe us without being noticed?" Dr. Yunji stepped forward with obvious enthusiasm. "We use passive sensors only," she explained. "We never sent out any signals that could be detected. We simply listened and watched, using techniques that your security systems were not designed to catch." She brought up another display showing human monitoring stations hidden in the empty space between star systems. The stations were small and used minimal power, making them virtually undetectable unless someone knew exactly where to look. "We have been doing this for a long time," Dr. Yunji continued. "Humans have always been curious about what lies beyond our borders. When we detected your civilizations, we applied the same careful observation techniques we use to study our own solar system." The implications of this revelation were enormous. The three species had believed they were the only intelligent life in the galaxy, apart from a few primitive societies that posed no threat. Now they learned that a fourth species had been studying them in secret for years. "What did you learn about us?" Velthron asked, though he seemed almost afraid to hear the answer. Lieutenant Taman activated new displays that showed detailed analysis of each species' military capabilities, economic systems, and political structures. The information was more complete and accurate than anything in their own databases. "We learned that you are locked in a three-way Cold War," Taman reported. "Each species controls roughly equal territory and resources. None of you can defeat the other two, but none of you can afford to appear weak. This has created a stable but tense situation that has lasted for thousands of years. We also learned," Commander Hyojin added, "that despite your differences, you have more in common than you realize. All three species value knowledge, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence when possible. The current tensions are based more on historical grievances than actual conflicts of interest." The human analysis was uncomfortably accurate. The three species did share common values, but those had been forgotten in the long history of territorial disputes and political maneuvering. Engineer Wansik had been quietly examining a piece of Valdari equipment that had malfunctioned during the meeting preparations. Without asking permission, he opened the device and began working on it with simple tools from his belt. "What are you doing?" Texara asked in alarm. "Fixing it," Wansik replied calmly. "The bioneural connection has developed a feedback loop. Your standard repair procedures would require growing new components, but I can solve the problem with a simple bypass circuit." He completed his work in less than 5 minutes. The device came back online, functioning better than it had in months. The Valdari technicians who had been unable to repair it looked on in amazement. "How did you know how to fix that?" one of them asked. Wansik shrugged. "All machines work on similar principles. You just have to understand what each part is supposed to do and find ways to make it work when something goes wrong." This casual demonstration of human adaptability was as impressive as all their advanced intelligence gathering. While the three galactic species relied on specialized technology that required specific components and procedures, humans had learned to make any technology work with whatever materials were available. "We have a proposal," Captain Do-hyun said, bringing the discussion back to diplomatic matters. "Humanity would like to establish formal relations with galactic civilization. We offer our territory as a neutral zone and our perspective as mediators in your ongoing disputes." "What do you want in return?" Kolmuth asked suspiciously. "Recognition as an equal partner in galactic affairs," Commander Hyojin replied. "Trade, agreements, cultural exchange, and the right to establish colonies in currently unoccupied systems." The three species exchanged looks. The humans were asking for full membership in galactic civilization without having proven themselves through the normal process of gradual contact and evaluation. "This is highly irregular," Texara protested. "New species usually spend decades proving their worthiness for full membership." Captain Do-hyun smiled again. "With respect, Representative Texara, we have already proven our worthiness. We found you, studied you, learned your languages and customs, and approached you on equal terms. We are not asking for charity or special treatment. We are offering partnership. The chamber fell silent as the three species considered this unprecedented situation. The humans were right. They had already demonstrated capabilities that far exceeded what was normally expected from new contacts, but more importantly, they had shown something that none of the three established species possessed: the ability to see the bigger picture and find solutions that benefited everyone involved. The question was whether galactic civilization was ready for such a dramatic change. 3 days after the humans arrived at Nexus Prime, everything changed. The crisis began with reports from the border regions between Valdari and Nethek space. What had started as minor trade disagreements suddenly exploded into military confrontations. Ships fired on each other for the first time in centuries. Space stations went into emergency lockdown. Colonial governors demanded immediate military support. In the council chamber, the three species faced their worst fears. The Cold War that had lasted for thousands of years was about to become a hot war that could destroy galactic civilization. The Nethek attacked our mining station at Kepler 442. Thexar reported, her tentacles writhing with anger. 17 Valdari died in the assault. That mining station was in disputed territory, Velthron replied, his crystal form glowing bright, red with fury. Your people were stealing resources that belonged to the Nethek colonies. Both of you are wrong, Kolmuth declared, his gaseous form turning an angry orange color. That system belongs to Yorth space according to the original territorial agreements. We should be the ones demanding justice. The argument escalated quickly, with each species accusing the others of treaty violations, military aggression, and territorial theft. Old grievances that had been buried for centuries suddenly seemed fresh and urgent. Captain Do-hyun and his crew watched this display with calm attention. While the three galactic powers shouted at each other, Lieutenant Tae-min was quietly recording everything and taking notes on his portable computer. If I may interrupt, Captain Do-hyun said during a brief pause in the shouting. The three species turned to look at him. For a moment they had forgotten that the humans were even present. We have been analyzing your territorial disputes, Do-hyun continued. With your permission, we would like to share our findings. What could you possibly understand about our problems? Thexara demanded. You have been part of galactic civilization for 3 days. Sometimes, Commander Hyejin said politely, an outside perspective can see things that those involved in a situation cannot. Lieutenant Tai-min activated his holographic display, showing a detailed map of the disputed border regions. But instead of the complex overlapping territorial claims that usually define these areas, his map showed something much simpler. The current fighting is taking place in 17 different star systems, Tai-min explained. But when we analyzed the actual resources and strategic value of these systems, we found something interesting. The display changed to show economic data, resource surveys, and trade flow analysis. None of these systems are particularly valuable to any of your species. The total economic output of all 17 systems combined is less than what any one of your major colonies produces in a single year. That is not the point, Velthron protested. These territories have historical significance. Historical significance based on pride, not practical value, Dr. Yunji observed gently. Our analysis suggests that you are preparing to fight a war over systems that none of you really need. Commander Hyejin stepped forward with another display. This one showed what would happen if the three species cooperated instead of competing. Joint mining operations in the disputed systems could increase resource extraction by 340%, she reported. Shared research stations could advance scientific knowledge in ways that none of your species could achieve alone. Combined trade routes could reduce transportation costs by 60% while increasing security against pirates and raiders. The three species stared at the numbers in amazement. The benefits of cooperation were enormous compared to the costs of continued conflict. But the territorial agreements, Kolmuth protested weakly, were written thousands of years ago, Captain Do-hyun pointed out. The galaxy has changed since then. Your populations have grown, your technology has advanced, and your needs are different. Perhaps it is time for new agreements. Engineer Wansik had been studying the technical specifications of the disputed mining operations. There is another problem, he said. Your current mining techniques are destroying the long-term value of these systems. Within 50 years, most of these resources will be gone forever. He showed them human mining techniques that could extract the same resources while preserving the systems for future generations. Cooperative development could make these systems valuable for centuries instead of decades. The three species exchanged uncertain looks. The human analysis made perfect sense, but changing agreements that had existed for thousands of years seemed impossible. What do you propose? Texara asked finally. Captain Do-hyun stood and looked at each of the three representatives. Humanity offers to serve as neutral mediators in establishing new territorial agreements. Our space can serve as a buffer zone between your territories, and our colonies can provide neutral ground for future negotiations. What makes you think you can solve problems we have been unable to resolve for thousands of years? Velthron challenged. Because we are not emotionally invested in your historical grievances, Commander Hyejin replied simply. We can see the practical solutions without being blinded by pride or past injuries. The negotiations that followed lasted for 2 weeks. The three species argued, debated, and struggled with proposals that challenged everything they thought they knew about territorial rights and interspecies relations. The humans served as patient mediators, offering technical solutions to resource disputes, suggesting compromise positions that satisfied everyone's essential needs, and helping each species understand the other's perspectives. Engineer Wansik worked with technical teams from all three species to design cooperative mining and research facilities. Dr. Yoonji collaborated with alien scientists to develop new exploration projects that would benefit everyone. Lieutenant Taemin helped establish communication protocols that would prevent future misunderstandings. The breakthrough came when Commander Hyejin made a simple observation during one particularly difficult negotiation session. You are all afraid of appearing weak, she said. But cooperation is not weakness, it is strength. When human communities work together, they achieve things that no individual could accomplish alone. The same principle applies to entire species. She showed them examples of human history, where cooperation had led to amazing achievements and competition had led to destruction and waste. We are not asking you to abandon your independence or your cultural identities, she continued. We are suggesting that you can remain strong and proud while also working together for mutual benefit. The final agreement was called the Nexus Accords. The three species established joint administration of the disputed territories, with shared profits from resource extraction and scientific research. Humanity was recognized as the fourth major power in galactic civilization, with full voting rights in the Council and responsibility for maintaining neutral zones between the other territories. Captain Do-hyun was appointed as humanity's first galactic ambassador, with the Indomitable serving as a permanent diplomatic vessel based at Nexus Prime. On the day the accords were signed, Dr. Yoonji made her final report to Earth. She stood in the observation deck of the Indomitable, looking out at the massive space station that was now humanity's gateway to galactic civilization. Today we achieved something remarkable, she recorded, not because we were stronger or smarter than the three galactic species, but because we could see possibilities that they could not. While they focused on what they might lose through cooperation, we helped them see what they could gain. Shiu paused, watching as Valdari, Nethek, and Yorth engineers worked together on their first joint project, a research station that would study phenomena that none of them could investigate alone. Human beings evolved to adapt their environment to fit their needs, she continued. Other species evolved to fit their environment. This fundamental difference in thinking allowed us to find solutions where they saw only problems. Outside the station, construction crews were already beginning work on the first human colonies in previously uninhabitable star systems. What the three galactic species had considered worthless space, humans saw as opportunities for creative engineering and innovative settlement techniques. The galaxy was entering a new era. The ancient balance of three competing powers had been replaced by a cooperative alliance of 4 species, each contributing their unique strengths to the common good. Captain Do-hyun stood beside Dr. Yoonji, watching the construction work with satisfaction. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to make the impossible seem ordinary, he observed. Today we proved that this strength applies to diplomacy as well as engineering. The Indomitable had arrived at Nexus, prime as an unknown vessel carrying mysterious aliens. It would remain as the symbol of humanity's place in galactic civilization, proof that sometimes the most important discoveries come not from exploring new territories, but from finding new ways to understand the territories we already know. The 3 species that had been stunned by humanity's arrival were now eager to see what other impossible things these remarkable newcomers might achieve. The galaxy had become a much more interesting place, and everyone was excited to discover what would happen next.